My oldest daughter, for example, was totally into sports all through high school. And then she ended up having some injuries and she had some anxiety and different things and pulled totally back away from anything. She was actually, going to go and play rugby in university and all sorts of stuff, and then had to just step back from it. I have been in sports and been competitive and stuff my whole life too. But when that happened, there was just this whole shift for me. Instead of, like this pride of, wow, she's going to go play rugby in university. How cool is that? Got called out onto the Ontario team and all these kinds of things, to being like, oh my goodness, like what does she actually need for me to support her? Because was a huge change in her life, right? And she needed to find other areas of focus and other things to do, because that had consumed so much of her life. Volleyball, basketball, rugby, she did rowing club, she did everything, right? And she had to pull out of all of it. So it's just, I just kind of thought of that when you're talking about your son, that it can be a proud moment like that, but we also have to have proud moments when they do things that aren't of interest to us as well.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. It's funny because expectations for our kids, I think, is such a huge thing for moms. We have these dreams, and for parents in general, right? And both my husband and I are sporty people. We're in the fitness industry, and I remember, being pregnant and us talking about, kicking the soccer ball in the backyard with our kids and throwing baseballs, and we can't wait to teach our kid, and we're like, well, you'll watch, we'll end up with some artsy fartsy kid. And sure enough, our first daughter, she hated every sport. She did skating, she did gymnastics, she did dance, she did hockey, she did ball hockey, she did jiu-jitsu. Didn't find a passion for anything, right? And ended up by taking art class for 2+ years. And so it's funny, you put these expectations on. So I learned very quickly in motherhood that what my expectations are for my kids is it can't be. It has to be what their passion is, and what it is that makes them happy and drives them and support them. And then, speaking to their drive and supporting them, what is that fine line between pushing them to be the best they can be, but then pushing them to where we think they should be, right?
That I noticed was doing a good job, or any specific thing. I always tried to make notes. So really, my world was my teacher. My community was my teacher, and mom's friends. That's where I learned how to mom. My former mother-in-law absolutely was a wonderful mentor for momship. She was like a second mom to me. Of course, my mother for everything that she was, and also for everything that she wasn't. Because I really think we don't just learn from the positives. We almost learn more from the negatives. But I want to follow that up by saying I wouldn't change a thing. We are closer now than we've ever been. And so, of course, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that she's here and that I get to still share Mother's Days with her. So that would be those would be the two women that I would most shout out on Mother's Day. Would be my own mother, and then my former mother-in-law, who just passed away in December. She was an amazing influence on me.